So yeah, hi everyone. My name is Nazar Hembara. I'm CEO and co-founder of a company called BotsCrew. And today we will be talking about real-world application of generative AI. You know, ChatGPT is a buzzword right now. Probably everybody has used it. But the question I will try to answer today is how to use it in your projects, your product development. And yeah, please ask questions because I don't know if I have content for 45 minutes. So I hope you will ask a lot of questions. So about myself, I would really consider this keynote a success if today you leave this room with an idea like, hey, this is cool, I can use it on my project, or I can use it on my product. So just really broaden your understanding of what are the applications of generative AI and how you can use it. So a little bit about the company. We started a company called BotsCrew 8 years ago as a chatbot agency, developing chatbots for clients. And a year or two after we started, we also added our own product, which is a chatbot CMS, like a chatbot development platform, so that companies, enterprises can develop their chatbot and maintain it on our software. We have many Fortune 500 clients across our portfolio. And yeah, some of the biggest names are Red Cross, Coca-Cola, Kia, FIBA, big pharmaceutical companies. And since 2017, we were always in top of 5 chatbot companies in the world, according to Clutch. It's a service that's collecting customer reviews. And some of the big accomplishments for us is chatbot on the main page of Honda in Australia. They introduced a new Honda HR-V, and the company has developed an AI chatbot that was actually a car that was selling itself. So people can ask questions like, how much fuel do you consume and how much does it cost? And yeah, it's not bad for a small company from Lviv to have it on Honda website. And another one is a chatbot in airport of LaGuardia in New York, one of the top innovative airports in the US. So you can see it's my face here. And that's a QR code to a chatbot over there on the main timetable. The reason I'm telling all of this just to show some credibility why I can talk about AI chatbots. So it's not just to show off. And that's me 5 years ago talking about chatbots on a conference in Lisbon, Lending Festival. And the majority of the chatbots we were building at that time looked like this. So everybody had really high expectations that AI is some sort of like a Skynet from Terminator, very smart, that knows everything. But reality was, it was a lot of if-else logic, when you look deeper into it. But nevertheless, it was bringing the value. So there is a lot of pretty good chatbot products that will, still delivering the value. And in 2022, in December 2022, everything has changed because ChatGPT was released to the public and our customers' expectations were increased significantly. And also the ability to deliver the technology was at that time, on a decent level to finally match those expectations for Terminator-like chatbot. So this is when everything changed so much that overnight, everything we were doing before, like this if-else chatbots, become irrelevant. And all the new business we got in 2023 and 2024, everything was generative AI only. And before that, we just had a few projects. So today, we will be covering a lot of these learnings and real applications of generative AI. I prepared 4 cases, and yeah, please ask questions here. I remind that. So let's start with a bit of statistics. So this is like why you can consider to care about this topic. Is 99% of business leaders are planning to invest in generative AI. So if you are working in a service, an IT company, it's very likely in next few months or a few years you will be working with Gen AI closely. Very likely you are working already. And the main problem is right now not only the access to the technical skills, but also really people that are understanding how to implement the right use cases. So technology is there, but there's problems that the businesses have. There's a lack of skills to actually how to match the problem and with what's possible to solve with generative AI. Case number 1. So it's an AI data analyst. As part of non-disclosure agreement and NDA, unfortunately, I cannot disclose a company name. But just to give you an understanding, it's a huge company, 50 billion in annual revenue. It's a massive, well-known brand that probably everybody knows. And they're selling around 1 million units every minute in the world. And every year, they do invest around $4 billion in ads. And to make this efficient, they have a team of 500 data analysts that look probably like this. And 500 of those data analysts are providing key reports and questions to the business leaders, answers to the business leaders' questions about the performance of their business and as well as consumer research needs. So questions could be like, hey, should we expand our business in Finland because our competitor looks like they're not investing there? So they usually spend 2 to 3 days analyzing these questions, pulling up data from various sources like SQL databases, Power BI analytics, and sending them back to the business leaders. Those questions very often can be easily answered if you just log into an analytics tool and check by itself. But the business people, they don't like it. They want to ask it. They want to send a message in Microsoft Teams and asking, hey, Andrei, for example, can you please pull the data for me? Or Nazar, I need a report for X, Y, Z. So for business, that creates a problem because it slows down the decision. Somebody's in a meeting, they are discussing if they need to expand the business in Finland, and they're like, hey, okay, we need to ask our analyst for a simple question. But they could easily do it themselves if they could ask and receive an immediate response. So the decision can be made faster, and also the whole organization could be more data-driven. So the idea came up, what if we build a custom chatbot that will be acting as an AI data analyst? For these companies, they're using Microsoft Teams, as many of us, or Slack's analogy, right? So the decision was, what if we build a small proof of concept, if an AI chatbot can answer questions specifically on our data sets? So we basically ask a question in a natural language as we would ask a data analyst and see if a chatbot can answer it. So they approached us at this moment, and we built a solution that looks like this. So people can ask questions like, what are the top 5 reasons for drinking coffee in the US? So it's pulling all the research data and then creating a graph saying, to energize myself, to stay alert, all these reasons, and visualize them. And also questions like, how a specific metric calculated. So it's pulling all the documents that are related to it and providing a response based on it. So not a general ChatGPT knowledge. If you ask this question in ChatGPT, it wouldn't know. But augmented with the data of this specific client. This is for me?
Yeah.
Oh, thanks so much. Thank you. Sorry. Any questions so far? Is it good? Boring? Good? Okay. Only 2 people like it. It's good. It's a good start. So basically, the idea was to speed up the process of getting data, simplify it, but also an interesting fact here, and it's important for developers involved on some sales calls or working with the sales teams, is that to have your own friends in a company. So actually, the idea came from the data analyst, right? Because when you just look at it as AI data analyst, it means 500 people will lose their job, right? Because AI will be doing stuff. It's the first thing it's on your mind. But reality was different. It's actually the data analyst team came to us saying, hey, we know that most of the stuff will be automated. We would like to lead it. So we would like to take initiative. We have a budget for it. And we would like to build this chatbot so we can focus on more complex questions, like more complex reports. Because AI cannot automate anything or everything, right? But all of these repetitive small questions. And this is important for success of any AI applications because people are afraid of losing their jobs. It's the same with customer support cases. So it's important to have your friend in a company and really explain that everybody would benefit. Nobody will lose your jobs. You actually will have more value bringing to the company. You have a question?
Yeah, I have one question. How to evaluate those results? Because I know the case. Actually, my customer, they implemented AI solution to calculate delivery times, and after moving it into production, they realized that it doesn't work really, and recently we just dropped this service.
It's a common problem, you know. You never know. No, it's a good question. I'm glad you asked it. It's important to set metrics, like what's important, like how you measure the success of it. In this case, it was how many questions will be actually asked, and like how many questions will be asked, like how many people will use it first, and how many questions they will ask, and what would be the quality of this answer. So we have a feedback loop, so we can say it was good or bad. So it started with a small pilot. So instead of 5,000 people that should be using it in the end, currently it's in pilot, we have a couple of hundred people are using it. The success rate is people are using it, providing feedback. Something that's not working, it's fine. They are providing feedback, it's not working, and we have a feedback loop to fix it. But the main criteria is how many questions are asked. Because the idea is if so many questions are asked, that means that people are knowing more information about the state of business and their consumers, and that's a success. Because otherwise, question could be not asked, because somebody doesn't want to bother a human data analyst, because they say, oh, it's a stupid question, I don't need to ask it, right? Here, it's AI, so nobody really knows I ask this question. I can ask whatever I want, right? And as much as I want. But a human, it's different, because you're asking somebody, so there's feelings that maybe I shouldn't ask. And so, yeah, number of questions and quality of those questions, the quality of those answers.
And to verify this, you still need a human analyst. So
oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, that's the whole point, yeah.
So you cannot drop that.
Exactly. That's the whole point. So actually, the idea is that initially you think, like you said, that, wow, if you introduce AI chatbot, it will answer everything. We don't need AI data analysts. Reality is different. You need more data analysts, because more questions are getting asked. So we need people that are qualifying, answering them, validating that the quality of the question is good. So it's actually good for a data analysts unit of this company, because they're bringing more value. Their main value, they exist in a company not to answer questions, but to make an organization more data-driven. So it's a core principle, like why are you working in this company? So great point, thank you. Have I answered your question?
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah, go ahead.
AI tool should train on some data, right? And,
Yep.
Does it, like where it takes the data, open some resources, or somebody should load some, set of the data that should train and just...
Excellent question, because it's my next slide. So next slide after this one. So I'll show you. So it's important for the data. So basically when we started working on it, important questions that arise is like, how do we make sure the data are secure? So because we will be doing some training, of course. How do we make sure that those data will not go to OpenAI and then will not be training it, and then anybody can ask the same question in ChatGPT and get our answers? Top concern. Maybe somebody read in news, Samsung was using ChatGPT early on, and they were asking a lot of sensitive questions, so they trained a model on these questions. And then somebody asked some question, and it answered based on what people asking Samsung. Now it's almost not possible to do it, but early on it was the case. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, do you happen to have an AI chatbot that can answer our questions about your product?
Yeah, I do, yeah. yeah. About our product, company product?
Yes.
Yeah.
For example, if any participant will ask
I hope it will. You never know. It's AI, you know. You don't have control over it. But yeah, it's I will have it on the slides. But we put a chatbot on main screen on our website. If you go to our page, the main thing you see is a chatbot, and we're getting a lot of chats. People want to show that they are smarter and ask really smart questions for it. So it's but we have it there. Yeah. It's not working 100% good, right? So keep your expectations low, right? But it is there. Number one was about success. So usage across the company. That was number one priority. Somebody saying, we're investing money into it. It would be success only if people will be using it. If nobody's using it, it's not a success. So that was something that we should think from the beginning with every AI project, how we'll actually introduce it to the people, how they will use it, what kind of interface would it be. In our case, the decision was because they are already asking questions in Microsoft Teams, a chatbot should be there as well, because it's nature where people are going. So you don't want to create extra steps for people, like creating another web interface, another page, right? It's called aichatbot.com. It should be there where the customers are. Scalable to support all the cases. When something not works, we would like our data analyst to go there and write. So basically how it works. People ask question, we query database, there is no response, it is flagged in a CMS. So a data analyst goes to CMS and sees, okay, is it relevant or not relevant question? If it's relevant question, it actually writes a query by himself or by herself, and then this is used as an example training data for future query generation. So data analysts are not only monitoring if a tool is performing well, but also providing feedback for it to become smarter. So it's scalable, it supports new data sets, new features, etc. And hallucinations, everybody knows about it. ChatGPT is coming up with this stuff. It was important to make sure we're only answering questions based on data that the company has. So now I hope this slide is answering your question about training. It's no training, actually. We can call it training, but the process is called, and I'm sure everybody working with AI knows this term, called retrieval augmented generation. Let me explain what it is. We have a user that's asking a question. Let's say that's how many products did we sell yesterday? Could be a question. So what's happening? If we think about the ChatGPT, everybody tried it, it wouldn't know the answer to that question, right? Because it was like, ChatGPT will say, like, what the fuck? I don't know what company are you from. Like, how do I know your data, right? So it will not answer it. So what we are doing here, we are retrieving the relevant information. There is search relevant information logic. So we basically there's a mechanism, a logic. So we can either decide and make an API call, so retrieve data by API, or Nicola's API management, so document from document, like an unstructured document, could be in a report, a guide, basically a book, whatever it is, and could be from a database, so a structured SQL or Power BI, a DAX query, something we are pulling from. So what's happening next, we are taking this relevant data, adding them together with queries that somebody asked, with a prompt. Prompt is an instruction for AI on what to do with it, and with the augmented data that we just retrieved, and then LLM generates a response based on it. So I know it's complex, just with an example, how much products did we sell yesterday? Goes here, we know, okay, how much products did we sell yesterday? This information is coming from our database. So we're doing an SQL query, saying, select zirочка, and I was, and we get the data. So what the next thing is, we are saying prompt. It's instruction for AI. Answer this user's question with only based on the data provided here, and then it says, user question is how much product did we sell, and then the relevant data are, 200,000 units. So then LLM knows, okay, it's like you were writing ChatGPT. Answer a question, how much did we sell? With information that we sold 20,000 products. So of course it will say, yesterday you sold 20,000 units or whatever it is. So it will be only based on the information that we just retrieved. Andrei?
Yeah, Nazar, thank you. But could you explain how do you know what exact data you need to retrieve from API or document or database? So do you take all of this information and for you could realize somehow that the context is based on product amount and then you take only relevant information from data?
That's an excellent question, yeah. So here, this is just here a box on my diagram, but it's a lot of code and logic. But what we've learned so far is that you can actually use the same retriever augmented generation approach to identifying what kind of question it is. So example is, you have a bunch of questions and examples that should be answered with API call, bunch of questions that are document, and bunch of questions that are database. So basically you are doing you are finding the closest questions that were asked previously, and you know what type of questions. You're doing categorization with an LLM, and then based on what type of it is, you are creating a custom here instruction for like generate an SQL query that will be answering this data from a specific, and it's very specific. So basically here you describe the database structure, the terminology used. Our client, for example, was using a lot of internal terminology. So we had a lot of vocabulary here, like how they're calling things and how it correlates with the column in database. But the reality is that it works, that AI can generate pretty good SQL queries and then run them. So, but in this unique logic, microservice, whatever you call it, you can use the same approach for AI to actually identify what is the best next action and provide it with an examples of a similar queries.
Thank you.
Thanks. This is the same graph, just this was made by me so a couple days ago, and this is from a company that's actually selling this. So it's the same stuff basically. Somebody asks a question, you have this retrieval system, and it's retrieving the relevant data, so it goes to it identifies what the relevant source is, so it can go to structured, unstructured data, generate an embedding. I will not focus on that, and then basically provide back a response to user with all this information. It's getting more technical here, a little bit. So how it works, this is more on a high level. There's two steps that are important for this to make it a success. So first, you need to ingest data into the system to know from where to retrieve data. Second is actually the process of retrieving. So to ingest data, what you're doing is you are chunking them. So let's have an example. Okay, based on our location, you want to have a chatbot that only answers questions based on Bible, right? Somebody needs Christian advisor, for example, we can call it, only gives based on the Bible. So what do? We ingest Bible into our knowledge base. So what's happening there? We are chunking a Bible, not really chunking Bible, we cannot do it. It's chunking the information into smaller pieces of everything we have in the Bible, like based on paragraphs or pages or whatever we want. And we are putting it into a vector database. So what is happening, we are transforming it into a vector, a numeric representation in a database. And then every time somebody's asking a question, like, can I do X, right? Need an advice from Bible. We are transforming that into a vector as well. And then we are finding what's the closest difference between those two vectors. So we're finding the most relevant piece of information related to this question. So we're finding few pieces of it. You can have a custom logic. For example, you find 5 pieces, 5 chunks from Bible, and then you're just literally saying it to ChatGPT, like, answer this question from a user if he can do X based on this information, and you put 5 paragraphs from Bible. So then ChatGPT is only answering it based on those 5 relevant chunks, and they're usually sorted by similarity score. So we're doing contextual search, how similar they are to the question asked. Go ahead.
How do you manage access to sensitive information?
That's a good question. There should be a couple of slides about it. Let's take an example with our customer, right? The number one approach is, it should be, yeah. Good you ask it, because it's here, security and privacy considerations, it's important. This big client, of course, the first question they ask, like same question you ask, how do you handle security? Our approach is the best way to make sure that no data are leaked is not to share them with anyone. So what we were doing in our example is OpenAI, we're using OpenAI on everywhere. So GPT-4 generated a lot of business, thanks for creating it. And but what's happening, right? There's still a consideration about security. So if somebody is asking, these big clients, they have a lot of proprietary data, somebody is asking a question is fine to share, but we didn't want to share any data with the client. So all data are staying in our database. We are just pooling the information here, and then we are sending it. We had this whole mechanism where we were swapping the data. So basically, majority of the data is here in number. So a fake number was sent to LLM, and then there was a different processor that was putting back the real data without sharing it within OpenAI. You don't really need to do it, because in a terms and condition and a policy, OpenAI is not using any data that you are sending via API for training their model. So right now it's solved. It just was extra complex client. So other than that, answering your question, it's the same as any web application you are building, the same security standards, the security procedures, really nothing special, because even if you are sending some sensitive data, you are fine with OpenAI, because if they breach a contract, you can sue them, and basically any other API can do the same stuff. So if they will be using your data for training, you can sue them. So I wouldn't worry too much about it, but if a client is concerned, and it's 90% of the cases, you should have a really nice pitch about it and some workarounds like I've explained with pre-processing, post-processing, swapping data, and a bunch of other smart words.
How actual is the data is? How often do you train?
We don't need to do a training. It's a runtime augmentation. So if there is a change, for example, in database, it's real time, because every time in a runtime, we are doing all of this. So in a runtime, we are actually retrieving the data, augmenting and answering. So no retraining is needed. It's actually not a training. It's training to explain for a non-technical client. Reality is it's augmenting with the data, retrieving it. There's a difference. It's a fine-tuning. It's different. It's not fine-tuning. Fine-tuning is more like a training, where you're adding stuff to existing model. This is not fine-tuning, what I'm explaining here, but it works much better. I have never seen a real case for a need in a business for fine-tuning yet. Yeah, extremely fast. Yeah. It's like, yeah, I'm kidding, of course, but so it takes 2 to 3 days to answer for a human this question. It takes up to 1 minute to do all this if it's a complex query. Sometimes faster, up to 1 minute. The longest was waiting period 1 minute for it. The bigger problem is that there's, it's generating, ChatGPT is answering, it's printing word by word, right? In Teams, Microsoft Teams, you cannot do it. So you need to wait until full stream, you receive the whole message, then send it, so it's an extra time that you need to wait there. It's a benefit of using a web-based application where you can stream it on the front end and display it, Yeah, go ahead.
What KPI do you use to judge the performance of your machine?
KPIs?
Yes, KPIs. Like I would think the number of misinterpretation,
Yes.
things like that would be very relevant for quality.
100%, yeah.
So what are the key,
Mm-hmm.
indicators?
Yeah. It's accuracy, right? So it's like a percentage of questions answered correctly. And we do have 2 mechanisms of judging that. So it's a user feedback mechanism. So it's thumbs up, thumbs down, and then open feedback. And the second thing is actually a manual review. So the data analysts are sitting there and actually reviewing the conversations and flagging them if it's good or not good. And then based on this, so it's a manual review for that. So there's an automated process as well. Of course, we thought about it. Reality is at the pilot stage, I would not recommend to automate this stuff, because there's so many things you can see when you're actually manually reviewing the conversations, and all this stuff is pretty new. So I wouldn't recommend, we automate, so we created, you know, like automated system of AI self-analyzing itself. But when you're doing it, you're missing a lot of things from understanding the context of how it behaves in different questions. So we've decided to have a manual review at the moment and adding it at a later stage once we will have a full deployment to like 5,000 people that will be using it.
Okay. And what are the, in terms of cost for the production of your product, how much is dedicated to conception development and how much is dedicated to like those tests and quality assurance?
It's in our case, it's an ongoing agile process. We started with a small proof of concept, then a pilot stage. You mean a price of like a development of it or maintaining?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm thinking the cost of maintaining accuracy must be larger, no?
No, because the accuracy goes up every time with more usage of it. Because what's happening, right? It's bad I don't have it on slides, but what's happening is somebody asks a question, for example, right? And it was in a system. And when data analyst is adding an example of how to answer this question, so it's typing in the actual query that needs to be run, it will be answering not only the exactly same question, but a whole subset of questions similar to it. So with every fail and then adjustment to it, it becomes smarter. So what we see over time is that the percentage, this accuracy metric that we are tracking, it started from like, I don't know, 40 probably percent when we started, is going up every time. And to make sure it's not going down, we have automated testing that's just validating the pre-trained question that it answered before, just to make sure we do every change. You know, we pre-select a list of questions and make sure that the answer matches every time. So yeah, the cost of maintaining the existing functionality is not increasing over time. I think it's more stable. Cost, of course, increasing if you'd like to have more functionality, because then it needs to be more integration, more data sets, more APIs, and it still requires, work.
In terms of risk management, I am very, very concerned because you're talking about documents. We all work in environments where documents, you don't know which document is the relevant one, etc.
Oh yeah.
Even human and experience, and we have a hard time to figure out. And making business reports based on data that has not been fully checked, like which document is the relevant one. That's a huge challenge, and the manager, the leader who gets these reports, how does he make sure that this is the right number he gets?
Yeah, it's a great point. It's actually, it was next case, basically, this company. It was exactly what happened, what you described. So the company is called Cravat. They are, this one I can disclose, they are like a home furnishing company in the US. Privately owned, about 1,000 employees in the States. We've engaged them to standardize the knowledge across the organization, but ended up building like internal ChatGPT specifically for them. And we did exactly what you said. So we uploaded 1,500 different internal documents to the system. Surprise, surprise, it was garbage in, garbage out, because quality was bad, many conflicting documents, conflicting answers. It was confused. So basically, we stopped it at the moment and then started gradually adding it one by one. So, like you said, to your point, you need to check every data source you're adding. So you need to check every document. It needs to be a decision to add something to the system. There needs to be a product owner, a knowledge base owner that actually controls the process and decides. Otherwise, it wouldn't work.
I also have another question.
Sure.
If I may, but I don't want to take.
Yeah, we have still 10 minutes.
It's about cloud you mentioned the scalability of such a system, and how much is it based on cloud computing?
Yeah, of course. So it's
Is it fully based on cloud computing in your company?
yeah.
Yes.
You mean if we are deployed in like if our
No,
infrastructure is
servers,
cloud?
yes.
Yeah, it's cloud. Yeah, we're using AWS.
You're using AWS.
Yeah.
That's,
Yeah.
that's what I want.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure. So a second case, briefly mentioned that, but employees, like there was 1,000 employees. They have like internal intranet, like in Wikipedia of their company, a lot of documents there, but nobody was using it, or it was hard to use it because it's a lot of documents. It's like just was a website, so it's hard to find something. Company approached us, so we can come up with some AI solution based on our product. So we launched this internal ChatGPT that can answer questions like find a specific form, answer questions about 20,000 different products that they have. It's real time because every time they ask a product specific question, we pull as a data from API, provide information if it's in stock or not. And it's like real time inventory data. And in addition to that, it has all of the just standard ChatGPT functionality. What they wanted is to have it cheaper, because if 1,000 employees is using ChatGPT for enterprise, which is, if I don't mistaken, $35 per month, so it would be 35,000 right per month. It was too expensive for them. They wanted something cheaper. They're not such a big company, and they want to have more control over it. So like to see what people are actually asking, like modifying questions, not in an aggregated, anonymized way, what people are asking, and also provide their own functionality. So I was quite a success, still in pilot to be honest, because so it's used by not 1,000, it's deployed but not really used by 1,000 employees. We are talking about roughly 100 people right now, but has a pretty good feedback. I think for organization it's great because they can see what are the actual use cases they can do. We have the same deployed in our company, it's internal ChatGPT, where we can see what people are using. Cool stuff about it. You can combine company data with ChatGPT functionality. So example is, pull me top 10 products that a customer X, customer Bogdan, had bought in the last 6 months, and generate an email to him saying that I'm offering a 5% discount. So it will pull information what product were ordered, it will pull information what's in stock, and it will generate an email, draft of an email, right? It's at least, of course they will customize this email, but it simplifies a lot of work. You don't need to go to a few systems, you don't need to start writing an email, so the company can become more productive. So the main point here, we're working directly with Chief Information Officer, is for organization to become more efficient with the use of technology. There was a question, right? Go ahead.
Can you please go to slide?
Sure.
Previous.
Sure.
With the box.
Sure.
With the diagram.
Yeah, this one?
Yes. So I have two questions. The first one from the box to generate. So each prompt that is tokens. And the question is how much you pay attention to reduce the number of tokens. Because more tokens is more price to large model. And one of the questions that came up to the topic of the security, if user decides to put some information that can identify him in query, and next you retrieve information from database, and as a request to LM you give this identification information plus overlay. So maybe not much valid because
No.
LM will promise not to collect information, but
it's a valid point. It's a valid point. It was easier for us because the company has a huge deal with Microsoft signed, and there's Azure OpenAI, which is a version of OpenAI on Azure infrastructure. So it was easier for us probably getting. But you're right. If it's healthcare, for example, or something like this, it would be a problem here. So some additional pre-processing would be needed and stuff like that. We were lucky not to have to deal with that. Well, most of the other clients, even, so we didn't have to deal with it. But in some cases, you're right. It would be more a problem, and there will be some additional solution needs to be done. We're not ready to answer right now what exactly needs to be done. Some sort of pre-processing. There are some things for that.
regarding the first question.
Also depends. My point is, yes, it costs, but the value it gives is, it's just hundreds times more than the cost of it. So the cost could be neglected, but you need to calculate cost, of course. So when you do a small proof of concept first, see how much tokens you're using, because it's custom. Like estimate how many users you will have, how many questions they will ask, how big would be your context, so you can see how, on average, each request would cost. How many, if it's an internal deployment, you can estimate how many users will be there approximately, so you can give a range of a pricing to the stakeholders. From my experience, when I was providing those estimates, I'm in sales in my company, and nobody cared about it. Everybody's talking a lot about it before they know the actual costs. When they see how product is working and they know how much they paying OpenAI, it's like, oh, peanuts. So yes, but it should probably would not be a blocker. Go ahead.
Yeah, can you use maybe some fine-tuning on that LLM model to make you a smarter version of that model and maybe send less tokens, less data to this model?
Yeah, maybe we didn't have a need to work with it. We would spend more time in working on that than we will be actually spending. So our cost, we have all of our products, we are spending not a lot of OpenAI. Compared to AWS, that's peanuts. Sure, thanks for the question. 5 more minutes, okay. AI sales assistant for the website. And case number 3. So it was first, yeah, your question. This is our website, BotsCrew.com. And it's chatbot here, main page. See? Yeah, go ahead.
For previous slide.
Okay.
Yeah, you said that you deployed this solution only for 100 employees, and what you expect how it will work if the amount of employees will increase 10 times, 100 times, cost will increase, and what about maintenance complexity?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
What do you expect it to increase?
Sure. Nothing more complex than any regular web application. Even more probably easier because all of this like APIs, like actual smart AI stuff is handled by OpenAI. Cost, yeah, will increase, but really depends on the usage. We've calculated an estimated range how much it can cost if be everybody in a company using it really, really hard, and then more realistic, and it would hint the expectations of a client for that. We're actually charging this as a product here, so cost will be on us. So they're paying us an annual recurring revenue. It's not like a service model. This is a licensed product, and in our pricing we've included pretty significant margin, so that we will be safe. But yeah, in reality is like first thing like you want to care about is like security, costs, right? Real world application saying it's not usually a problem. It would be a very big problem for regulated industries, and also if you have very consumer-facing products. So it will be there's a lot of consumers. I mean, if Facebook will deploy it, right, and everybody will be using it, or OpenAI, their cost where everybody's using it for free, then yes. If you're using for business internally, it's more controlled environment. You have how many users you will have, and don't worry about the cost much. It would be relatively the same as maybe hosting a solution, maybe slightly more, but not crazy numbers. Cool. So at BotsCrew, we wondered, like, what would really happen if we put a ChatGPT like chatbot on our main page, right? What would happen? What people will ask if they can ask anything, can get an answer immediately. So yeah, we did. We launched a chatbot there, and yeah, the results are pretty cool. People are asking a lot of questions. We saw 5.5. This is actual numbers for the last months. 5.5% have engaged with the chat. So we had how many? Almost 400 different chats where people were asking some questions, generated some leads. But the coolest part of it was that even if they not convert to leads, lead is somebody who has provided their contact information that they want to buy a product, right? Even if they have not provided this, but they ask a bunch of different questions and give us some insights what people are really interested in. When people are going to your website, don't know what they're interested in, what they want. Here, they can ask, and 5% ask, that's a lot. People that are in marketing, that's a lot. And this engagement showed us what they really cared about. Many people ask about pricing, specific integrations, new stuff. So it gave us a lot of insights for our business, what we need to adjust in our business strategy. And then we've decided to, what else? Yeah, we had a lot of fun stuff. We had a lot of misuse as well. We had people, we have French here, right? So we had a guy from Texas who was looking for French names for his restaurant on our website. I don't know if it's good or not in French, but so that was a misuse.
The second and the fourth are interesting. The rest is the...
Yeah, it's AI.
I don't know why you know.
Okay, we'll provide that feedback. and also somebody was threatening us, you know. Chatbot was not behaving as they want, and he said, I will leave you a bad rating, yeah, and I won't tell anyone about it. I did it for my project, so it was a kid was trying to do his homework. Anyway, but it was fixed. Like all of this is fixable. You can make it problem, it's not a problem, misuse, you can, yeah, there's things how to avoid it. The main thing was, in the first 2 weeks after we deployed it, there were three conversations that were there for more than 1 hour. So you can see here, somebody started at 11:36 p.m. and finished 12:38 a.m. So 3 people were chatting for more than an hour with a fucking chatbot, sorry. It was insane for me because it shows a level of engagement. So the answers were pretty good. So it was everybody who was want to buy a chatbot was relevant. It was somebody who was want to do some resell AI assistant with our product. So this brings an engagement of visitors to a new level that you can do with an AI, because most likely they would not spend 1 hour browsing our website. It's not so cool. And this is a big thing. So this is what led us to build our own first self-service product called No Form AI. So basically users can right now just type in their website and get an AI chatbot in 1 minute. So what we're doing here, the same stuff. Retrieval, augmented generation. We scan, scrape a website, and automatically generate a chatbot based on a web content. So the chatbot is only answering questions based on an approved web content that's already on a website. This is one of the customer deployment. Here we're targeting much smaller businesses. That's why numbers are not big, but they're big for this business. This is international companies that is sending pets transportation, dogs all over the world. And this is 90 days data. They got 18,000 visitors. Out of them, 550 chats. But the coolest part, 40% of those chats have converted into qualified leads. And qualified lead is somebody who has filled all the information, like a dog name, dog weight, when and where they want to travel, all of this information. It's about 10 different questions, and their contact details, which is pretty high, like 40% that have converted from all the chats. So now we are developing this self-service product as well. And number 4, the last use case. Do we have 2 more minutes? Yeah? Do you want to see cool stuff? Sure? Okay. I promise it's the last thing. So it's about new experience in AI. So function calling basically, or retrieval augmented generation I was showing. So before that, somebody was asking, what is the temperature in San Francisco? A large language model doesn't know the answer by itself because real-time data, right? So the next iteration was temperature in San Francisco is 74%. So it's to fetch data from weather database, weather API, and based on this answers these questions. It's cool. Problem was these chat interfaces were only limited to text responses. And only text is not always the best experience. So right now, just a couple of months ago, it became a new thing, or more popular thing, called generative interfaces. So it's how it looks, what's possible right now, based on the question. You do not only provide the data, but you actually stream a whole React component to the front end. It could be displayed and generated specifically for the answer for this user. And here, some small demo I've prepared for one of our clients we're working with is, so the company is, where is it? So this is a company that's providing, sorry, not that good with technology. Where is it? Yeah. Sometimes I feel like AI is becoming smarter than I am. Do you know how to? Oh yeah. Yes. Come on. Here we are. So, EVs, right? Electric vehicles. So this is a company that is providing home installation for charging electric vehicles, like Tesla, for example. And build a chatbot for them, but I want to showcase how it could be used for this case. For example, I want to see my chargers, and I have 2 cars. So what's happening, it's not asking me, for example, which car I want to know about. It generates for me a picture of my car model, shows dynamically already the information of how much is added during the last charge and how much of the battery is remaining, and it's clickable. So I click on it. So it's combining the best of both worlds, AI and UI, so that you can get the best experience from both. So here, for example, it shows my Tesla Model Y, and it shows me a graph of how much I was charged, and it's interactive. So what I can do, I can select, hey, what is this? Why the cost decreased so much here? I can select this and ask why such a low price here. So it knows what dates I'm talking about, and it shows, okay, it was June 10th and it was special discount day, and displays its information in this way. So the reason I'm bringing it up, don't only focus on text interfaces if you are engaged. There is an option to actually generate code in a runtime specifically tailored to your users, your customers, and it can bring the user experience to the next level. That's it. Thank you very, very much.